Welcome to the question of the day. Today's question is from Skip in Pennsylvania. And Skip asks, how do you get past customers that want to shop around? That is a great question. And when I do the objection boot camp, this is probably the most commonly asked question or objection at the boot camp. So, shopping around, it is a reality. It happens. And there's many studies that go into why customers shop around or how many shop around. Now, when we're focused on the trades, there's a couple of studies that I'll go over here real quick as we dive in, because I guess looking at these studies answers the question, how big is this problem? So there was a study that I partnered with a company out of California, and we looked at 4,800 consumers. And these were consumers that were looking at large ticket purchases, $20,000 or more. And they were asked, what are the factors that they look at when making a buying decision? And price accounted for about 15%. So it wasn't even in the top three, but about 15% of customers said price is the number one factor that they're looking at, right? So that was one study. Google did another study. Google, it wasn't even in their top three. It was below that. So it was somewhere in that range of 10 to 15%. Jeffrey Gitomer in his books, such as The Little Red Book of Selling, he talks about 10% of customers are focused solely on price. And there's other studies that say somewhere in the range of 10 or 12 or 15, right? So it gives me an idea that 10 to 15% of customers are focused solely on price. So that tells me about how big of a problem this is. 10 or 15, they're only concerned about price, not concerned about other things. Now, in these studies, the other things are like, are you a company I can trust? Are you a person that I can trust? Do you have a good reputation? What's the overall experience? What's the overall value? Like, these were the common things that outranked price. So that tells me 85% of customers are looking at more than just price. But there will be 10 to 15% of customers that, they're just looking at the cheapest price. And that's probably not you. You shouldn't be the cheapest price anyways. So here's a few key things to increase your chances with these calls. But I want to stress, as I go through these things, none of these things are silver bullets. There's not a single thing here that if you do this, this is magically going to overcome the shopping around objection. No silver bullets here, but there are a ton of golden BBs. And these golden BBs will help increase your chances to move past this objection. So the first thing I want to talk about is just run the call. Just run the call and be the first to run the call. There is a time component with being the first out there. There's a lot of studies that show that time is of the essence, right? If you get out there when that customer is in the buying frame of mind, like they called you for a reason. They're interested in buying. They're interested in moving forward, right? Get out there quickly. You can set the tone for everything they encounter after that first meeting. And so get out there first. I see some companies that shy away from being first. We get gun shy of that shopping around objection. And so we try to like drag our feet a little bit and position ourselves to be the third one in the door or something like that. But here's the problem with that. Problem with that is there was a study from Lennox last year that said 55% of buyers buy from the first company, that they only look at one company. And I've seen similar studies published in ACHR, the news, or from Google. Many customers buy after looking at just one company. We forget about all those because those are great, right? But the ones that, hey, I'm going to shop around, that's what stings and sticks with us. We focus on that. So 55% buy from the first company. Only 10 or 15 are solely focused on price, but that's what we focus on. So if you're dragging your feet to be the second or the third one in, you're missing 55% of the customers because they already bought from somebody else and you don't even know it because they never even show up on your radar. They never call you. You never go out there. So you're missing 55% of the customers by not being the first one out there. And in most cases, you don't even know it. Now, by being the first one out there, does that create more of these shopping around challenges? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. But this is a good problem to have. If you're getting out there first and you're the one that's getting your close rates are going up, you're capturing that 55% of customers. But yeah, it does create more customers that are going to shop around them. But that's a good problem. It's kind of like if you go to the gym and you're a little sore the next day. That's a good problem to have, right? That means you did something right. That means in most cases you did something right. But you worked out hard and your muscles are recovering and you're growing as a person and in your health. Like that's a good feeling. It's like a good hurt. And same thing here. If you're getting out there and being the first one to the customer, this is a good problem to have. Yes, you will get more shopping around. But that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. All right, second thing I want to talk about is you just got to have a rock star process. You have to build as much value as possible. So first thing, you got to have a defined process, right? And a defined process means like you could email it to me right now. Like you can take a picture of it. It's written down like a playbook. Like you could send it to me right now. So you have a defined process. You're executing that process. And you even have like a scorecard where you are looking, am I executing that process? How well am I executing that process? What am I doing well? Where are my opportunities? I have somebody riding along, so I get a second set of eyes. So I'm doing all of those things. And in addition to just executing the process, I'm doing things that even add more value. I'm proactively weaving in why I'm better than my competitors. What makes me awesome? Why should you pick my company? Why should you pick me? And that's the toughest part to sell is the me. Company's easy. But you as a person, that's the toughest part to sell, right? Like, do I trust you as a person? You're proactively weaving in why today is the best time to buy. Today is the best time to buy. The reasons just change, but today is always the best time to buy. And so I have a rock star process that's building up as much value as possible so that the customer won't want to shop around. This objection doesn't even manifest. I don't give them a reason to want to shop around. I personally, as a consumer, I wouldn't call myself impulsive, but I don't like shopping around. Mostly because I see it as a waste of time. Like I have the checklist in my head of if you check the box on these things, and mostly I like you as a person. That's probably the biggest box is just, do I like you and trust you as a person, company aside, just the person. If you can check that box, I don't want to waste any time. I got too many other things going on in my life. And I do think there's a lot of people that think that way. In fact, going back to the studies, there's a lot of people that they're looking at other factors other than just price to make that decision. And so I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, we were building a deck on the back of our house, and I don't want to shop around. I don't want to waste a bunch of time. I'm busy. But the first gentleman came out, and I can't describe it other than he seemed shady. Like he just felt like I couldn't trust him. But as we got to talking, I found out like he's not actually a real business. It's just him. And so he's not licensed. He's not insured. And then as we got to talking and he was building a rapport, I figured out who he was. Like I knew where his house was. It's a small town, all right? Like I knew where his house was. And I was like, oh, I know you. And that makes me trust you even less. And so that guy was out. So we called a second person came out. Now, and this gentleman, I mean, honestly, he was nice, but like he looked like he wrestled with a cat before he came out. He was covered in cat hair. And I'm fine with cats, nothing against that. But like, I don't know, there's something to be said of like not being covered in cat hair when you come visit customers, right? And he also had this giant mustard stain. So he had a black sweatshirt on, a zip-up sweatshirt, and this giant mustard stain right down the front. And I get it. Like sometimes I spill too, but if I'm going to visit a customer, like I want to put my best foot forward. And so my wife and I discussed, okay, we didn't want to go with cat hair mustard guy. So third guy comes out. And this guy just standing in our front yard, smoking, blowing smoke right in our face. Like it's something out of a movie. Like this could have been a comedy. And I don't smoke. My wife doesn't smoke. We had our young kids running around and like, so this guy, we were like just out on the smoker right away. Like just have some, you can smoke and I would still hire you, but just don't smoke right in front of me. And like, definitely don't blow it in front of him in my face. Right. Like, so that guy was out. So we're on to a fourth guy at this point. Like at this point, I'm like, good God, is there anybody that can build a deck? And and the fourth guy comes out, and this company seems reputable. They are well put together, and they are by far the most expensive. And I did ask about the price. I said, you're a lot more than the other guys, right? And I'm in sales for crying out loud, right? I know you should be more, but I gotta ask. And just the arrogance of the way he responded. He literally said, like, yeah, we're priced the highest because we're the best. Like, and look, here's the thing. If you don't fill this spot, somebody else will. Like, we got lots of jobs, so I just need to know so we can move on. Like, I don't know, just the arrogance. And he's probably right. But like, I was like, you know what? Screw you. And so we were on to the next guy, but I was a little nervous. Like, I don't know who we're getting rid of. Fifth guy. Fifth guy was a savior. Now, there was nothing that this guy did that was rocket science here. Like he showed up, he literally just had on a clean t-shirt and shorts. It was summertime, right? And so he wasn't like super dressed up. He wasn't wearing a tie or anything like, but it was a nice t-shirt, nice shorts. Like he was dressed appropriately. He was just a nice guy. And he took time to answer our questions. And my wife has a lot of questions. So there's a patience element. Answered every one of her questions, made her feel comfortable. Even my kids were running around. They had this little Jeep they're driving around and they're like driving circles around him and stuff. And like he would joke with them and had fun with them. And like he was just a nice guy. And he was almost as expensive as the arrogant guy. So he was the second most expensive, but he wasn't much cheaper than that guy. That's the guy we picked. Now, I did not want to go five deep here looking, but that's why I shopped around because frankly, those guys sucked. That's what, but every one of those guys probably left, went back to their boss. Their boss said, did it sell? And they go, no, another shopping around customer, right? I'm not a shopping around customer though. I just, I don't have high expectations, but I don't have low standards either. So you just have to have a rock star process. If the fifth guy would have showed up first, I never even would have went to a second guy. He checked all the boxes. Now, third thing you can do, weed out other objections. So in the objection boot camp, I talk about fake objections. Sometimes customers hide behind other objections, and these sound like I need to think about it, I need to sleep on it, I need to pray on it, stuff like that. Those aren't real objections, though. They're what I call fake objections because there's a real objection hiding behind it. But as customers, we've learned we don't want to be sold to. And so we throw those out because we know like you can't really do anything with that. There's no way that you can solve that to move forward, right? And so I throw that out there. And usually I throw it out there when something else is missing, right? Like you got cat hair and mustard stains and you smoke, something like that, right? And so usually they'll throw that out because there's another objection out there. Sometimes, though, people will use shopping around in the same way. Now, there are customers that are going to shop around, right? But there's some that will use it as a fake objection as well. So to weed those out and separate them, I just ask one more question. And I ask the customer, I say, well, what questions do you have that you're still shopping for? Because they're going to say one of two things. They're either going to say something like, well, I mean, why do you cost so much, right? Great, price objection. Okay, now we can talk about that, right? Or they're going to say something like, well, I got to talk to my spouse. Great, spouse objection. I know what to do with that. So they're going to say some kind of other objection. Then I know it wasn't really shopping around. It was some other objection behind it. Or they might say something like, that's just my process. That's what I do. That's how mama raised me. Mama raised me. Get 3 quotes before you make a decision. Okay, that's the real shopping around customer. That's that 10 to 15% of customers that are going to shop around and they're just looking for that cheapest price, right? And so weed that out though, because if it is another objection that I can take care of, I can identify it there. But if it really is a shopping around, okay, it really is a shopping around. So the last thing, the fourth thing that I would hit on would be at this point. if it really is a shopping around, and I've done all these other things already, so I'm the first one to the call. I'm there very timely. I have a rock star process that I've weaved in why I'm better than the competitors, why today is the best time to buy. I don't have cat hair and mustard on my shirt. I've weeded out if it's another objection or not. As I'm about to leave, my Hail Mary is I have a strategy called Raise the Bar. And this is something that I go in great detail at the objection boot camp. And I would stress it has to be done exact. There is an exact way that you do this. Every time I have implemented a Raise the Bar strategy, I do it exactly the same way. The only thing that changes is the content within it, right? But you're going to establish that as they shop around, what are the things they need to shop for? And that's going to be the litmus test for everybody else to get through. And spoiler alert, you're the only one that's going to get through. And so you're going to do it exactly how I do it in the objection boot camp. But it's going to create that litmus test for everybody else by raising the bar. But it's also going to create, if you do it exactly how I show you, it's going to create one more opportunity to ask for the sale. And I'm not saying that even closes at a high rate, but occasionally when I've done it, if you deliver it perfectly, exactly, and with confidence, and you really believe it, I've had customers that stopped, looked at each other, looked back at me, and then said, yeah, all right, I like you. Let's just do it. Those are customers I would have left and not gotten. They would have went and shopped around. Somebody else would have came. But because I executed exactly like that, created an opportunity for me to ask one more time. And with that confidence, they look at me and they say, yeah, I like you. Let's just do it. So those are my 4 strategies. Number 1, be the first to the call. Number 2, have a rock star process. Number 3, weed out other objections. And then Hail Mary at the end, raise the bar. That's today's question of the day. If you're enjoying question of the day, follow, share, give a rating. Question of the day is on major streaming platforms. If you're not enjoying question of the day, you are no longer listening, and keep it to yourself. If you have a question, reach out to me either on social media or email. Both are going to be listed in the show description. Let's get your questions answered. And if you are a Nexstar member, schedule a call with me. Let's address this situation one-on-one. Let's get specific. I'm Coach Chris. We will see you tomorrow.